Your soulmate might already be close. Cayce's reading unveils the signs. There was a moment captured in the archives of Edgar Cayce's readings when a woman sat across from the sleeping prophet, her heart heavy with loneliness. "Will I ever find love?" she whispered. And in that trance state, where Cayce could see beyond the veil of ordinary perception, he spoke words that would change everything. Your soulmate walks past you daily, but your eyes are not yet open to see. Imagine that, your perfect match, your destined partner, the soul who has loved you across lifetimes, might already be in your world. Perhaps they serve you coffee each morning. Perhaps they sit 3 desks away at work. Perhaps they're the friend you've known for years but never truly seen. What if everything you've been searching for has been searching for you too? What if the universe has already conspired to place your soulmate within reach, and you've been looking right through them? Tonight, we're going to explore something extraordinary, the mystical signs that your destined love is closer than you imagine, the soul recognition patterns that Edgar Cayce revealed through thousands of readings about eternal partnerships. Because somewhere, perhaps closer than you think, your soulmate is waiting for you to remember. Are you ready to open your eyes? Edgar Cayce never intended to become love's greatest mystic, but when he entered that sacred trance state, when his consciousness touched the eternal records, he discovered something remarkable. Love, true soul love, follows patterns that exist beyond this single lifetime. For over 40 years, Cayce accessed what he called the Akashic Records, the cosmic library where every soul's journey is written. And there, in those infinite halls of memory, he found love stories that spanned centuries, not the Hollywood romance we've been taught to expect, not the lightning bolt of passion that poets describe, but something far more profound: soul recognition. Cayce described it this way: souls choose each other before birth. They make contracts to meet, to grow together, to heal together, across multiple incarnations. Through thousands of readings, a pattern emerged. The greatest loves, the partnerships that transform both souls, rarely arrive with dramatic fanfare. They whisper. They emerge gradually, like dawn breaking, a slow recognition that grows stronger each day, until suddenly, you remember this soul, you remember this love, you remember choosing each other before you were born. But here's what made Cayce's revelations revolutionary. He saw that most people dismiss their soulmate connections because they're looking for movie magic instead of soul truth. They're waiting for butterflies when they should be noticing peace. They're seeking excitement when they should be recognizing home. Cayce would say gently to those seeking love, "Look not for the storm, but for the harbor." Your soulmate is not the one who disrupts your world, but the one who helps you remember who you truly are. And in reading after reading, the same profound truth emerged. Your soulmate, the soul destined to walk beside you, might already be walking beside you. You just haven't learned how to see them yet. In the quiet hours before dawn, when Cayce would slip into that otherworldly trance, he would often describe what he saw: souls, like points of light, weaving through time and space, each carrying sacred agreements, each following invisible threads that connect them across lifetimes. He called these threads soul contracts, agreements made in the space between lives, when souls exist in pure love and infinite wisdom. "I will find you," one soul promises another. "We will meet, we will grow, we will heal what needs healing, we will love what needs loving." And then they incarnate, they forget, they search. But the contract remains, written not in words, but in the very fabric of their beings. Cayce revealed the sacred sequence that unfolds when soulmates are ready to remember. First, the contract draws them into proximity. They end up in the same city, the same workplace, the same social circle. The universe conspires to create opportunities for recognition. Then come the triggers, moments when the soul stirs with inexplicable familiarity, a conversation that feels like coming home, a glance that awakens forgotten memories, a presence that calms every anxiety. But here's where it gets complex. The mind, programmed by 1,000 romantic movies and cultural expectations, often resists these gentle signals. The mind says, "This person is just a friend," or "they're not my type," or "I don't feel fireworks." The mind, you see, doesn't recognize soulmates, only the soul does, and the soul speaks in whispers, in comfort zones, in inexplicable peace, in the feeling that, finally, you can breathe fully. Cayce described it beautifully. Your soulmate is not the person who makes your heart race, but the person who helps your heart rest. This creates what he called the recognition threshold, that moment when you must choose between what your mind expects and what your soul remembers. Most people stand at this threshold every day without realizing they're making the most important choice of their lifetime. Tonight, we're going to help you recognize that threshold, and more importantly, help you understand what lies on the other side. Picture this moment, a moment that might have already happened to you. You're in an ordinary place, a coffee shop, a bookstore, a meeting at work. And then someone enters your awareness, not dramatically, not with fanfare. They simply appear. And in that instant, something shifts. Some invisible tension you didn't even know you were carrying releases. Your breathing deepens. Your shoulders drop. The chatter in your mind quiets. You might think, "That's strange. I feel so calm." Or perhaps you strike up a conversation. Words flow effortlessly. Silences feel comfortable instead of awkward. You find yourself sharing thoughts you rarely voice, and they understand, not just your words, but the feelings beneath your words. Later, walking home, you might wonder, why did I feel so myself around them? This is the threshold of recognition, the first stirring of soul memory. But here's what Cayce discovered in his readings. Most people dismiss these moments. They explain them away. "I was just having a good day," or "they're easy to talk to," or "it was just a pleasant encounter." They miss the profound truth. Their soul is trying to tell them something. "I know this person," the soul whispers. "This love is not new. This connection runs deeper than this lifetime." Cayce would often describe it as the awakening of ancient memory, souls recognizing each other across the veil of forgetting that comes with each incarnation. But the mind has its own agenda. It wants proof, it wants certainty, it wants the kind of obvious signs that can't be dismissed or doubted. And soulmate recognition rarely works that way. It works like remembering a half-forgotten dream. The details are fuzzy, but the feeling is unmistakable. You know this dream. You've dreamed it before. Standing at the threshold of recognition requires courage. The courage to trust what you feel, even when you can't explain what you feel. The courage to consider that the universe might be more mysterious, more interconnected, more loving than you've been taught to believe. Because once you cross this threshold, once you begin to see with soul eyes instead of just physical eyes, everything changes. The person you dismissed as just a colleague might reveal themselves as your destined companion. The friend you've known for years might suddenly shimmer with new significance. Your soulmate might already be in your phone's contact list. The question is, are you ready to see them? There's a moment in every soulmate recognition that Cayce described as the coming home feeling. You meet someone new, or perhaps see a long-time acquaintance with fresh eyes, and your nervous system just relaxes, not in the way that happens when you're attracted to someone. That's excitement masquerading as comfort. This is different. This is your soul recognizing its other half. Cayce explained it through the concept of complementary energy signatures. Each soul, he said, carries a unique vibration, and soulmate souls, their vibrations naturally harmonize, like two instruments perfectly tuned to create beautiful music together. When you're in their presence, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be anyone other than exactly who you are, and somehow, mysteriously, you feel more like yourself than you do when you're alone. Think about this. When was the last time you met someone and felt effortlessly comfortable? Where conversation flowed like water finding its natural course, where even the silences felt full instead of empty. Sarah discovered this with her coworker Mark. For months, she'd barely noticed him. He was quiet, thoughtful, not particularly striking by conventional standards. Then, one Tuesday morning, they ended up sharing an elevator ride that lasted 30 floors. "I don't know what happened," she would later tell friends. "We just talked about books, about dreams, about silly childhood memories, and I felt so peaceful, like I could talk to him forever." When the elevator opened, she realized an hour had passed. It felt like minutes. That evening, she couldn't stop thinking about the conversation, not because it was romantic, but because it felt familiar, like revisiting a favorite place from childhood. This is the instant comfort mirror, when someone's presence reflects back to you, your own essence, unstained, uncharged, simply accepted. Cayce taught that souls who have loved each other across lifetimes develop this mirroring capacity. They've seen each other through countless experiences, countless growth cycles, countless challenges. There's nothing left to prove, nothing left to hide, nothing left to fear. Their presence says, "I know you. I've always known you. You are safe here." And your soul, recognizing this ancient safety, finally exhales. But here's the profound part. This comfort isn't about dependency. It's not about needing them to feel okay. It's about being seen, truly seen, and discovering that what they see is lovable. Their acceptance helps you accept yourself. Their belief in your goodness helps you believe in your own goodness. When you find someone who offers this quality of presence, pay attention. Your soul is trying to tell you something important. Just days after Sarah recognized that elevator moment with Mark, something curious began happening. They started running into each other. Everywhere. At the grocery store on Sunday morning, at the same coffee shop on Wednesday evening, at a bookstore across town where neither of them usually shopped. Each encounter felt orchestrated, as if some invisible hand was weaving their paths together. This is what Cayce called the synchronicity spiral, when the universe begins conspiring to create connection opportunities between souls who are ready to remember their bond. But here's what makes it mystical. These aren't random coincidences, they're meaningful coincidences. Each encounter deepens the recognition, strengthens the soul-level awakening. Sarah and Mark would joke about their cosmic collision course, but privately, each was amazed by the precision of these meetings. That Sunday at the grocery store, they discovered they both bought the same unusual tea blend, the same obscure author's book. They even reached for the same variety of apples at the exact same moment. Wednesday at the coffee shop, the only available table was one they had to share, and the conversation that ensued revealed they'd both grown up just 3 towns apart, had attended universities only 50 miles from each other, had lived in the same city for 2 years before meeting at work. The bookstore encounter was perhaps the most profound. Mark was browsing the philosophy section, something he rarely did. Sarah was looking for a gift in the same aisle, also unusual for her. They reached for the same book simultaneously, a collection of writings about soul connections and eternal love. Their hands touched, and both felt it, an electric recognition that went beyond physical attraction, a remembering. Cayce taught that when soulmates are approaching conscious recognition, higher spiritual forces begin supporting their reunion. Guardian angel, spirit guides, even the souls of loved ones who have passed, all work together to create these magical convergences. It's as if the entire universe wants them to remember their connection. But the synchronicities serve another purpose. They build evidence that can't be dismissed by the logical mind. One meaningful coincidence might be explained away. Two could be rationalized. But when the spiral intensifies, when synchronicities begin happening daily, even the most skeptical mind begins to wonder, what if this means something? The mind finally whispers, what if this isn't random? And that's exactly when the soul steps forward with its truth. This has never been random. This is recognition. This is remembering. This is love finding itself again. The synchronicity spiral is the universe's way of saying, pay attention. Something sacred is unfolding. Don't miss this. When these meaningful coincidences begin clustering around a particular person in your life, when the same name keeps appearing, when your paths keep crossing in impossible ways, your soulmate might be trying to get your attention. 3 months into their deepening friendship, Sarah noticed something remarkable happening. Her creativity was blooming. Projects she'd been putting off for years suddenly felt manageable. Dreams she'd abandoned were stirring back to life, and somehow, Mark's presence in her world seemed connected to this renaissance. Not because he was pushing her or coaching her. He wasn't offering advice or trying to fix her. He was simply believing in her. And that belief was awakening something dormant in her soul. This is the third sign of soulmate proximity, the growth catalyst effect. Cayce described it as mutual soul activation. When destined partners find each other, they naturally inspire each other's highest potential, not through effort or manipulation, but through loving recognition of what already exists. Think of it as spiritual chemistry. Their belief in you helps you believe in yourself. Their vision of your capabilities helps you expand your vision of what's possible. Mark began writing poetry again, something he hadn't done since college. Around Sarah, words flowed like music. She would read his verses with such a genuine appreciation that he remembered why he'd loved language in the first place. Sarah started painting. She'd always claimed she wasn't artistic, but Mark saw something in her. A creative spark she'd forgotten existed. His quiet confidence in her abilities gave her permission to explore. But the growth catalyst effect goes deeper than creative expression. Cayce taught that soulmates incarnate together to heal old wounds and develop new capacities. Their presence in each other's lives creates a safe space for evolution. Old fears begin dissolving. Limiting beliefs start cracking open. Parts of yourself that you've kept hidden, even from yourself, feel safe to emerge. Sarah had always been afraid of public speaking, but when Mark suggested she share her paintings at a local gallery, the fear seemed less overwhelming. His steady support made courage feel possible. Mark had struggled with trusting people. Past betrayals had taught him to keep his heart guarded, but Sarah's consistent kindness, her genuine care, slowly convinced him that not everyone would hurt him. This isn't codependence. This isn't one person fixing another. This is mutual empowerment. Their growth inspires your growth. Your healing creates space for their healing. Together you become more than either could become alone. Cayce would say, soulmates are not completed by each other. They are awakened by each other. When someone enters your life and suddenly Things that felt impossible start feeling achievable. Pay attention. When their encouragement feels different from other people's encouragement, deeper, more knowing, more true. When their belief in you helps you remember who you really are. Your soul might be recognizing its perfect growth partner, the person who agreed, before you were born, to help you become everything you came here to become. 6 months after that first elevator conversation, Sarah found herself sitting across from Mark in a quiet cafe, sharing something she'd never told anyone. The story of her father's abandonment when she was 7, the wound that had shaped every relationship since, the fear of being left that lived beneath every moment of happiness. She wasn't planning to share this. The words just emerged, as if his presence created a space where truth felt safe. Mark listened without trying to fix or analyze. He simply held space, and in that sacred witnessing, something ancient began to shift. "I've never told anyone that whole story," Sarah whispered. "I know," Mark replied softly. "Thank you for trusting me with it." And in that moment, Sarah felt something she'd been seeking her entire life. The feeling of being known, completely known, and still loved. This is the 4th sign, the karmic healing dance. Cayce taught that soulmates often incarnate together to balance karma and heal wounds created in previous lifetimes. But this healing doesn't happen through dramatic confrontation or therapeutic processing. It happens through love, patient, steady, unconditional love. Think of it as soul medicine. Their acceptance helps you accept the wounded parts of yourself. Their compassion teaches you self-compassion. Their forgiveness reminds you how to forgive. For Sarah, being truly seen without being judged began healing her abandonment wound. Mark's consistent presence, his reliability, slowly convinced her that not everyone leaves. For Mark, Sarah's story awakened his own healing. He began sharing his struggles with trust, his fear of intimacy, the walls he'd built to protect himself. And Sarah, who had been so afraid of being abandoned, found herself naturally gifted at staying, at offering the kind of steady love that didn't need perfection or performance. They were healing each other without trying to heal each other. This is how soul-level healing works, not through advice or analysis, but through experiencing a love that doesn't wound, doesn't abandon, doesn't punish. Cayce would describe it as karmic completion, souls giving each other what was missing in previous lifetimes, balancing old debts through current kindness. Perhaps in another lifetime, one soul left and the other felt abandoned. In this lifetime, they meet again. This time, the one who left learns how to stay. The one who was left learns how to trust. The healing happens organically, through daily choices, through small acts of love, through the patient rebuilding of trust that was broken long ago. When someone's presence begins dissolving fears you've carried for years, when old wounds stop aching around them, when patterns that have repeated your entire life suddenly shift, your soul might be engaging in the sacred work of karmic healing. The person across from you might be offering medicine for hurts they helped create in another time. And you, through your forgiveness and love, might be offering the same gift to them. 1 year after their friendship began, Sarah and Mark were walking through the city park when Sarah mentioned an idea that had been growing in her heart. "I keep thinking about starting a program," she said quietly. "Something for kids whose parents are going through divorce. Art therapy, maybe. A safe space to express what they're feeling." Mark stopped walking. That's beautiful and important." "I don't know if I'm qualified," Sarah continued. "I don't have the right credentials or funding or—" "What if we figured it out together?" Mark interrupted. "I've been thinking about volunteer work, something meaningful. This feels right." And in that moment, they both felt it. a recognition deeper than friendship or romance, a sensing that their individual paths were actually part of something larger. This is the fifth and most profound sign, mission alignment. Cayce taught that advanced soulmate relationships often involve shared service to humanity. Souls who have evolved through many lifetimes together eventually incarnate with complementary purposes designed to heal the world. Their individual gifts, when combined, create something neither could achieve alone. Sarah's artistic sensitivity and understanding of childhood trauma, Mark's organizational skills and business acumen. Together, they could create healing programs that might touch thousands of lives. But mission alignment isn't always about grand world service. Sometimes it's quieter. Two souls who are meant to raise conscious children together, or create a home that becomes a sanctuary for others, or model the kind of partnership that helps heal humanity's relationship wounds. Cayce would say, when soulmates find each other and begin their shared work, they become servants of love itself. The key recognition is this: your dreams and their dreams don't compete. They complement, they enhance, they create something beautiful together. You find yourself naturally collaborating. Ideas flow between you. Projects that seemed impossible alone become manageable together. There's a sense of rightness, of being part of something larger than your individual lives, of serving love through your connection. Sarah and Mark did create that program. What started as a small art therapy group for children of divorce grew into a non-profit organization that has now served over 2,000 families. But more importantly, their shared work deepened their recognition of each other. They weren't just friends or potential romantic partners. They were soul collaborators, partners in love's service. When someone enters your life and suddenly your purpose becomes clearer, when your individual missions naturally align, when working together feels like coming home, your soul might be recognizing its destined co-creator, the person who agreed before birth to help you fulfill your highest purpose on earth. Together, you become love's instruments, channels through which healing flows into the world. But here's where the story becomes complex. Despite all these signs, despite the comfort and synchronicities and growth and healing and mission alignment, Sarah found herself pulling back. This is too good to be true, her mind insisted. People don't just meet their perfect match as colleagues. Soulmates are supposed to be dramatic, passionate. This is just friendship. And Mark, sensing her withdrawal, began doubting his own perceptions. Maybe I'm imagining this connection. Maybe she's just being kind. Maybe I'm seeing what I want to see. This is perhaps the most important part of the soulmate recognition process, the resistance phase. Cayce observed this pattern in thousands of readings. Just as souls approach conscious recognition of their bond, the mind steps in with its fears and doubts and cultural programming. The mind says, this doesn't look like the movies, or they're not your usual type, or you're being ridiculous, they're just a friend. The mind has been conditioned to expect Hollywood romance, lightning bolts, love at first sight, dramatic passion that sweeps you off your feet. But real soulmate connections, the ones that last across lifetimes, often feel more like coming home, like remembering something you'd forgotten. The ego fears this kind of love because it can't control it. It can't manufacture it or manipulate it or force it to fit familiar patterns. Soul love requires surrender, trust, faith in something larger than your personal will. And the mind prefers to be in charge, so it creates resistance. It makes you doubt what you're feeling. It convinces you that if love doesn't look like what you expected, it must not be real love. Cayce taught that this resistance phase is actually sacred. It's the soul's way of ensuring that recognition happens consciously rather than automatically. True soulmate relationships require choice, free will, the conscious decision to honor what you're sensing, even when it doesn't make logical sense. Sarah and Mark spent months in this dance, drawing close, then pulling back, recognizing the connection, then dismissing it. But the synchronicities continued. The comfort remained. The growth kept happening. The healing deepened. Eventually, they had to acknowledge something extraordinary is happening here, even if we don't understand it, even if it doesn't fit our expectations. The courage to move through resistance, to trust soul wisdom over mental programming, is what transforms soulmate potential into soulmate reality. When you find yourself pulling back from someone who feels too good to be true, when you catch yourself dismissing a connection because it doesn't fit your usual patterns. Pause. Your soul might be asking you to choose love over fear, recognition over resistance, trust over control. The person you're pulling away from might be the very person you've been searching for your entire life. 2 years after that first elevator ride, Sarah and Mark finally had the conversation that changed everything. They were sitting on Sarah's porch, sharing tea and watching the sunset, when Mark said quietly, "I need to tell you something." Sarah's heart quickened. "Okay. I don't know what this is between us," he began, "but it's not ordinary friendship. And I don't think it's just attraction either. It's deeper. Like I've known you forever, like my soul recognizes your soul." Sarah felt tears welling up. "I know, I feel it too. I've been afraid to say it." "Afraid of what?" "Of being wrong, of ruining our friendship, of wanting something that isn't real." Mark reached for her hand. "What if it is real? What if this is exactly what it feels like?" And in that moment, with those simple words, everything shifted. This is the awakening conversation, when both souls consciously acknowledge what they've been sensing, not a declaration of romantic intent, not a demand for immediate partnership, simply recognition. "I see you. I feel this connection. I'm willing to explore what this means." Cayce taught that soulmate relationships unfold through mutual recognition rather than one-sided pursuit. Both souls must awaken to the connection for it to fully bloom. This conversation doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be gentle, exploratory, open-ended. "I feel something special with you. Do you feel it too? This friendship means more to me than most friendships. I think you're important, in a way I can't quite explain. I keep thinking about you, not in a way that feels like regular attraction, more like remembering." The key is vulnerability, courage, the willingness to name what you're experiencing, even if you don't fully understand it. Sarah and Mark spent hours that evening sharing their experiences, the comfort they felt together, the synchronicities they'd noticed, the ways they inspired each other's growth. They spoke of dreams where they'd seen each other, moments of unexplained familiarity, the sense that their friendship was part of something larger. By the end of the conversation, they both knew this was soulmate recognition. This was love remembering itself. But here's what made it sacred. They didn't rush into romantic expectations. They honored the mystery. They agreed to let their connection unfold naturally. "Whatever this is," Sarah said, "I want to honor it. I want to be worthy of it." "Me too," Mark replied. "However this develops, friendship, partnership, whatever, I want to love you well." The awakening conversation isn't about securing outcomes. It's about acknowledging truth, creating space for whatever wants to emerge. When you sense a soul connection with someone, when all the signs are present, when your heart is ready to be vulnerable, trust the impulse to speak your truth. Your soulmate might be waiting for you to be brave enough to name what you both feel. 5 years later, Sarah and Mark's relationship has become something beautiful and indefinable. They're partners in every sense, Romantic, yes, but more than that. Soul collaborators, best friends, co-creators of a life that serves love. Their nonprofit program has expanded to 5 cities. Their personal relationship has deepened into the kind of partnership that makes other people believe in love again. But perhaps, most importantly, they've learned to live with soulmate consciousness. This means recognizing that their connection is sacred, that it deserves reverence. Daily practice, conscious tending. They begin each morning with gratitude, not just for each other, but for being chosen to experience this kind of love. They make decisions together through soul consultation. When choices arise, they don't just consider practical factors. They ask, what does love want? What serves our highest good and the good of all? They've learned to see challenges as opportunities for deeper love. When conflicts arise, when old patterns surface, when life brings stress, they remember we chose each other to grow. This difficulty is here to help us love better. Cayce taught that conscious soulmate relationships become vessels for divine love to flow through. The partners become servants of love itself. Sarah and Mark notice this in their daily life. Their home feels peaceful to visitors. Their relationship inspires other couples. Children are drawn to their gentle energy. They've become, without trying, examples of what love can look like when it's conscious, when it's honored, when it's lived as service rather than just personal happiness. But living soulmate consciousness isn't always easy. It requires constant choice, the choice to love when you don't feel like loving, to forgive when forgiveness feels difficult, to trust when fear whispers doubts. It means remembering, especially during difficult moments, that this person is sacred, that your connection transcends this single lifetime, that honoring this love is honoring love itself. Sarah and Mark have developed practices that help them maintain this consciousness. They pray for each other's highest good, not just their mutual happiness, but their individual evolution and service. They create beauty together, art projects, garden spaces, meals that nourish not just their bodies, but their souls. They serve together. Their nonprofit work reminds them daily that their love is not just for them. It's meant to overflow into the world. They study together, reading books about consciousness, attending workshops, exploring the mysteries of love and soul connection. Living soulmate consciousness means understanding that finding your destined partner is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning. Together you become students of love, teachers of love, servants of love. Your relationship becomes a prayer, a practice, a gift to humanity. When two souls recognize each other, when they choose each other, when they commit to loving consciously, they become part of love's healing work in the world. On quiet evenings when Sarah and Mark sit together watching the stars, they sometimes talk about the mystery of their connection. Do you think we've done this before? Sarah asks. Loved each other in other lifetimes? Mark considers this. I don't know if we can ever prove it, but it feels true, doesn't it? Like we've been practicing this love for a very long time. And perhaps that's the most profound gift of soulmate recognition. Not just finding your perfect partner for this lifetime, but remembering that love itself is eternal. Cayce taught that advanced souls incarnate together repeatedly, each lifetime deepening their capacity for love. What begins as attraction evolves into friendship. Friendship matures into partnership. Partnership transforms into service. And eventually, the love transcends all categories. It becomes love for love's sake, love as prayer, love as contribution to the healing of all relationships. Sarah and Mark understand now that their recognition of each other opened them to recognize love everywhere, in their families, in their work, in strangers on the street. Soulmate love doesn't make you possessive. It makes you generous. It doesn't make you exclusive. It makes you inclusive. Because when you experience unconditional love, when you feel truly seen and accepted and cherished, you naturally want to offer that gift to others. Their nonprofit program has become more than helping children of divorce. It's become a place where love teaches love, where healing creates more healing, where two souls' recognition of each other ripples outward in ever-expanding circles. Cayce promised that conscious soulmate relationships would become models for humanity's evolution. As more souls remember how to love consciously, how to recognize each other, how to serve together, the entire planet's capacity for love expands. This is why soulmate recognition matters so profoundly. It's not just about your personal happiness, though that's beautiful too. It's about becoming love's representatives on Earth, showing others what's possible when souls remember their eternal connections. Every conscious partnership helps heal humanity's wounded relationship patterns. Every soulmate couple who chooses growth over comfort, service over self-interest, consciousness over unconsciousness. They're pioneering new ways of loving that will serve generations to come. When Sarah and Mark look at their relationship now, they see something larger than romance. They see a sacred assignment, a cosmic collaboration, two souls who agreed before birth to find each other and remember how to love, not just each other, but love itself. And through their remembering, through their practice, through their service, love itself remembers how to heal the world. As we come to the end of our exploration tonight, take a moment to breathe deeply, feel into your own life, your own relationships, your own encounters with souls who might be more significant than you've realized. The 5 signs we've explored, the instant comfort, the synchronicities, the growth catalyst effect, the karmic healing, the mission alignment. These aren't just theoretical concepts. They're invitations to see your life with new eyes, to consider that the universe might be far more conscious, far more loving, far more intentional than you've been taught to believe, that your soulmate might not arrive with Hollywood drama, but with something far more precious, soul recognition, the feeling of coming home to yourself through loving another. Perhaps they're already in your life, that colleague who makes conversation effortless, that friend who believes in your dreams when you've forgotten to believe in them yourself, that person whose presence somehow makes you feel more like yourself than you do when you're alone. Edgar Cayce's promise echoes across time. Your soulmate walks past you daily, but your eyes are not yet open to see. What if tonight is the beginning of opening your eyes? What if the love you've been seeking has been seeking you too? What if recognition is just a choice away? Remember, you are not just a body seeking another body. You are not just a personality seeking its complement. You are an eternal soul. You have loved before. You will love again. And in this lifetime, in this moment, love is calling you to remember. The soul walking beside you might be the soul who has walked beside you across centuries. The love story you're living might be the continuation of a love story that began long before you were born. Trust what you feel, honor what you sense, have courage to name what you recognize. Your soulmate is not something you find. Your soulmate is someone you remember, and when you do, when recognition dawns, when two souls consciously choose each other, you become part of love's eternal story, love recognizing itself, love choosing itself, love serving itself through you.